The Temple of Speed waits for no one. Ladies and gentlemen, it is round number 9 here of the Simrigs Sprint Series, and of course we're going to be at Monza for it. We have one round to go after this, but trust me, the battle's still very hot right now. Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be in the world. Thank you for joining us. My name is Nick Amon, and I want to welcome you to tonight's broadcast. Glad to have you. Drivers currently in qualifying at the moment. Looking to get those starting positions an hour ahead of us at this historic circuit, one that personally I'm not a huge fan of racing at, but I don't mind watching it, let me tell you. Right now we are sitting on here with Stefan Hobb from Saudi Arabia in 8th position in the Ferrari. You can see just ahead of him we had a couple teammates in matching liveries. But about half the grid, a little more than half the grid so far, has set a lap. 22 drivers on the grid for tonight. Daniel Duarte with pole position right now, a 148.38. 18 thousandths ahead of Nader Pell. So the Pro-Am's putting in a little bit of work right now. The Pros and the Silvers lacking a bit, surprisingly. But going over the point distributions right now while we're here. Right now, it is Partez who does lead the championship, 907 points. That only gives him a 50-point buffer over number 2, which is this man right here, Remco Nederpel from the Netherlands, who sits 857. So despite being Pro-Am, punching well above his weight. And then it's Cuthbert in 3rd position overall, 801 points. So 56 back from this man right here. A good buffer both ways, but of course, the number 40 wants to bring in a little bit closer into the final round at Spa next week to Partez, who does sit, Partez is down in 6th right now, half a second off the pace. This is good news for Naderpel, though. A high finishing position would give him exactly what he needs to take over the championship lead, or at the very least, reel him in just about to his doorstep. Then we got to look down in silver, though. Abelstead, of course, second in the championship, is leading his division by 321 points. This man is on an absolute tear. It is Cairns, though, second place, 536, trying his best. And then it will be Dorn with 273. He's over 200 points back. So I think it's safe to say that the silver championship pretty much closed out at this point. Abelstead could just completely miss the next 2 races and he would be, well, he'd be fine, but he doesn't want to do that. He's got pole position provisionally at 148.102, which is immediately bested by Duarte's a 148.087. So we're getting some pretty rapid times right now. We're almost in the 147s. A few drivers are sitting in the 48s, actually quite a lot of them. But no one lucky enough to overtake that just yet. We then look down into the Pro-Am Championship. It is Julian who does lead it, 670 points over Sutter, who has 502, so that's a 168 point gap if you're good at math. And then Florindo at 407 or 432, so 70 points. Pro-Am's a little bit close, but might be in the same situation as Silver. We're kind of just done and dusted at this point. And then for the amateurs, Rochfeld, 430 points, has a 25-point gap over Rosas, who has 405, and then it's Fedka with 317. He's 88 points off of second place. Should be noted, though, that Rochfeld, who is currently in the pit lane, or actually coming out of the pit lane right now, currently 11th, is actually in the top 10 of this championship. The only amateur to be in such a position. But looking at some of the results from last week, or the point distribution rather, the gap for first in the overall rankings has increased. It was 21 points last week. This time around, like I said, 50. So 29 points have been added into Partez's bank account, but he's got to be careful. If he has one slight misstep, especially here at Monza, it's going to be over, and he's going to be well within his second place. Although the gap from second to third has closed. 73 points is what they were working with last time around. The gap from Silver, Abelstead to Cairns has grown, obviously. And then even from Cairns to Dorn has jumped up 80 points. So Dorn falling off the pace a little bit. Then down into Pro-Am. That gap's closed up a little bit, about 13 points from Julian to Sutter. But Sutter has gained a whole heap of ground. He was at 18 points last time out. Now he's at 70. That's a very good gain for him in just a couple weeks. And then in the amateur division, Rochfeld has overtaken. He was 35 points down, now 25 points up over Rosas. And then Fedkes was overtaking Victor Brun. There was 104 points between second and third, but now it's 88. So, yeah, we're going to be seeing just how Monza plays out. This seems to be a pretty divisive circuit. You have people like me. I'll watch it. If you want to race on it, go for it, but do not put me on there. I will not be enjoying myself at all. Several bad experiences shies me away from such a track. Maybe you guys feel the same. If you want to let us know about your thoughts about Monza, hey, chat's wide open. 4:20 to go here in qualifying. Drivers blazing around the track right now. It's only Asmar who has not set a time yet. A 150.08. If that were to hold, that would only put him just ahead of the Dane, Victor Brun. So that'd be 20th position for him. Seems he's had some off tracks. It seems a little easy to get off tracks here, especially at the final corner. Gotta be careful. The chicanes aren't too bad. Curva Grande here, the Retifilia coming up. Obviously the Lesmos, Iscari. It's all pretty easy to stay within the lines. Maybe Lesmo 2 will throw you for a bit of a loop. And then the final corner, that's the one that's gonna give you a whole heap of trouble. On board right now, Stefan Haab. 142 is sitting position 15. His best lap currently a 148.68. He only has a little bit of time between himself and Cuthbert, so he'll be looking to close that gap up. Here's Hendrickson, position 17 in the Mercedes. 149.48, just set that lap too. His delta isn't looking too positive right now, quite negative, but it's Haab who is up on the delta as much as he's going to really be willing to use home soil race for Ferrari, but right now their best is only in P5. It's the top 4 positions dominated by British and German manufacturers. In fact, in the top 10 it's British and German and then a couple Italians in there, so maybe Haab will have something in store for us. Comes out of the final corner. He does have about half a second up right now. This should put him a good ways up the grid. How far is it? It is the top 10. Another member of the stable is joined in the fray. Looking around, see who else has an improvement. Is Zeritsky's in 11th. This could be enough for top 10, maybe a little bit further than that. As he crosses the line, it's actually not going to count. A 48.67. So we must have lost a little bit of time out of the final couple corners. Maybe a bit camera shy, it happens. And there goes Lemos, invalidating his lap. So he'll have to, well, looks like he's going to go back to the pits. Maybe a change on the setup. Von Beberen currently coming up to Ascari right now. The 888 is only in 19th position. Still another lap ahead of him, though, so he'll have enough time to get back to the line. That was a pretty big cut, it felt like, on the inside. I'm not going to check to see if that was a track cut. We'll let the timing tell us. Just ahead of him is Victor Brun, so he's just rounding the final corner now. A little bit of a wiggle there. He's a couple of tenths up, so this should put him into the 49s, possibly around Ricky Louis, but I doubt Beberen. Beberen actually goes into the pit lane, so Brun up into 20th position. Ricky Louis from Hong Kong. He's just improved, takes his 20th position back with that 49.64. So we're getting some pretty good times here right towards the end of the session. Alan Julian, just talked about him earlier. 12th position for the Mexican driver. 148.58, keeping it really tight on the inside, trying to make that run short as possible, and he does go into the top 10. That pushes Cairns out of it. Stefan Haab, I thought he was on a improvement. We had a couple of drivers. Zeretsky's about even with himself. That 48.57 is what he can muster. And a 48.69, so he is losing a couple of tenths there right towards the end of the lap. But we are within the final 30 seconds, so if we take a look at the track map, well, I think at the very least, the 27 coming across the line there, that is Krebs. So he is going to be the last driver on a flying lap, so keep an eye out for him. The 777 of Rosas, as he's coming through that final corner. Gets it a little bit sideways, at least in terms of exit speed, but he is gaining a little bit at the line. Will he improve? No, he will not. It's enough for P14 at the moment. But can he hold on to it? Drivers behind Cuthbert, Henriksen, the only drivers who are really anywhere close to actually taking that away from him. Zeretsky's not one of those drivers, though. He is well ahead, but is improving. Could get around Partez if he plays his cards right. Man, for Partez, being down in 11, that's going to be a big problem, because if you look up the order, Abelsted's in P3. So this could be your championship leader almost losing the lead as Zeretsky's drifts it again, and his lap is out, over, and done with. He was really pushing it through Ascari. He just couldn't get it lined up properly. We ride here with Julian as he comes across. It is 6th best for the Mexican driver. Does not move up at all. And that should just about do it. Abelsted, though, really digging the livery on that. It's kind of, I don't know if I'm looking at more Borderlands theme or very used construction equipment. Either way, it's not going to matter. Abelsted is going to be enough for P3. It is Naderpel on pole, though. 47.005. So we have some rather quick drivers right now. And we'll be getting into the action in, well, just about 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a couple weeks. It feels weird, because I was gone for that 1 week, and then I came back, and I did 1 week, and then all of a sudden I had to take a week off, and now we're back again. It's weird, but don't worry. We'll be back next week again with the final round of the Sprint Series, because, well, we don't have a bye week. We just had one. But take a nice look at the liveries. Really great artistic talent from some of these guys. I don't know if it's self-made or if it's, you know, paid for, but either way, I am absolutely in love with it. But looking at your cars, we got to get to the grid here. It's Naderpel on pole with Granis, Abelsted, Duarte, and Lemos in the top 10. We saw the McLaren-Ferrari combination there with the same liveries. Then Julian, we saw him P6. Fabian Krebs up into P7 with his fellow countryman Christian Dorn to keep him nice and grounded there on the 4th row of the grid. And then Asmar and Haab will be rounding out the top 10. Very good starts for both of them. We'll see how the strategy plays out, especially into turn 1. Always a classic for Chaos. Then it's Partez in 11th. He has a lot of ground to make up if he wants to extend his championship lead over Abelsted, but that's a task easier said than done. Cairns will be there alongside him. Zeretsky's, Rosas, Cuthbert. That's your 15 best, and then it's Rochfeld right there in the 101. Aston Martin will be lining up 16th on the grid. Florindo in 17th. Right behind him is going to be Van Beveren from the Netherlands. Then it's Hendrickson from the Norwegian side of the globe. Ricky Louis is going to be behind him in the Tetris McLaren, and then right behind that, Victor Bruin in the BMW. And Kioroglu in the Bentley. You don't see a lot of Bentleys. We only just saw him join in the last race, if memory serves proper. But other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be 22 cars on the grid. And before we get started, of course, we got to give a quick shout out to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 14 of the Sprint Series. Glad to have them here under our wing from Melbourne, Australia, one of the biggest sim racing suppliers in Australia. If you happen to live there, or New Zealand, well, you guys are going to be all set. But if you're like me, or really any other person in this organization that isn't from Australia, New Zealand. If you send them an email, they'd be more than happy to do some business with you. And if you are one of our Patreon members, you guys are going to be getting 5% off your in-store purchases, so do take advantage of that. Sim racing equipment is not cheap by any means, so again, thank you to Simrigs for sponsoring another season of the Sprint Series. We hope to have more of them in future seasons, but ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go back on track here. The drivers just now pulling away. No safety car. So we'll see who has it in them to make it to the end of this race in one piece. Tasks always easier said than done, and this is no exception in the slightest. Just sitting at turn 1. These drivers are getting ready. 1 hour on the clock. 3 mandatory pit stops. This caused a bit of a stir in the sprint chat rooms. Drivers were surprised to see 3 pit stops. Speaking of pits, Hobb not pressing drive, so he'll be starting from the pit lane. But yeah, 3 pit stops in an hour-long race. I mean, realistically, you do 20, 20, 20. But we could be seeing maybe a little sooner, a little later, just sort of up to driver preference at this point. I don't think I've ever had a race where I've had 3 mandatory stops. I think the most it was 2. But this has been giving drivers a little bit of grief, trying to figure out how the strategy is going to play out. Because if you're, recall all the other races this season, it's been 1 or 2 pit stops, not 3. So that changes things up a little bit. But nothing these drivers can't handle. All those beautiful liveries as we head under the bridge up into Ascari. I never get tired of seeing all these liveries. They're always great just to see what people have. And I know there's one driver in North America who reminded me earlier to sync the liveries because I forgot to do that. He's always it's always a source of good liveries. But we are lining up side by side, ladies and gentlemen. The second to last time that we do that this season. And we still have, 60 minutes and turn 1 to get through. For Naderpel, it's going to be pretty good for him trying to just get around and get out of there as soon as possible. You can see the McLaren teammates right there of Duarte and Lemos, both from Portugal. So they are flying the same colors across the board. And you can see another one of their teammates quite a ways down in the back there. That is Rosas. And behind him is Florindo. So all of Portugal rocking the same livery. You gotta love that sort of team coordination. But ladies and gentlemen, we are heading around the final corner, coming up to the line. How is this race gonna go down? How does turn 1 compose itself? Will it be easy pickings, or is it gonna be an absolute mess? I guess it's all gonna come down to that green flag. You see Hobb there in the pit lane. He's got to wait for everyone else to start, and then and only then can he move, and it's green, green, green here at Monza. It's a great getaway from the front two, and right behind them, Abelstead, Duarte. It's actually a pretty even start across the board. Krebs there, a bit of a slipstream behind Lemos as we head into turn number 1. It's going to be heavy onto the brakes a little bit later, I think, from Granes, but he might have backed out. And drivers slowing up. The Lamborghini in the background of Babarin makes contact with, I believe, Florindo. We have drivers cutting through the chicane left and right, but as we head out of it, it's your front two who have gotten away amazingly side by side right now. It is the Mercedes of Abelstead that has that McLaren just beside him. You can see him just barely pulling ahead. The flag of Portugal trying to muster him on into the Redifilio chicane. Abelstead comes out on top of that one. Just behind, it's another of the McLarens pushing through, having to dodge that chicane, going offline there. But it's been an extremely clean getaway, and already Naderpel coming under fire as Granes trying to do well in the background. One of the cars spinning out. I believe that's Christian Dorn. No, it's not Christian Dorn. I apologize. It could have been Asmar. It was. He got booted there. Made a little bit of contact, I think, on the outside on the grass. Spun back onto the circuit, and that absolutely did him in. We are going to join Alan Julian from Mexico as he goes through Ascari the first time around of asking. He's going to do that beautifully. A little bit of offsidery, and Lemos gets an amazing exit. He's got so much with the slipstream as he heads down, pulls out of it side by side, and he will be just alongside, I believe. No, it's just barely enough. Shorter line on the inside, but he's not going to carry as much speed. At the end of the first lap, though, Naderpel leads this race. Then it's Granes, Abelstead, Duarte, Julian just getting ahead of Lemos and slotting in just in front. Krebs, Dorn, Partes, Rosas, Cairns, Cuthbert behind as well. There was a yellow flag out temporarily. I didn't quite see what that was for. The Bentley of Kyorglu is in, and Asmar as well. Now, these pit stops are not going to count. That pit window will open 5 minutes into the race, and then it'll close 5 minutes before the end. So even if these drivers change tires now, it's not going to do anything. We do have one of the McLarens going wide there. That is the 40... Or not the 40, excuse me. Oh, that's Naderpel. Is that Naderpel? Oh, that's not good. Naderpel was way up the grid in third. Now he's sitting 15th, and he's behind... He's behind the man he needs to be in front of, which is Partes, who's up in 9th position. So already at the start, some drama. And I know you say it's 57 minutes, but sometimes 57 minutes might not be enough. Naderpel is definitely going to be playing the pit stop game, though. And if Kevin Parady's to be believed, we may not have a pit window. We'll have to see. We'll keep an eye on Kyorglu and Asmar as they come out of the pit lane. We'll see if that 3 becomes a 2. If it does, then that means there is no pit window. Drivers can pit whenever they want. Partes out of the Ascari chicane. Right behind him, fellow Ferrari Cuthbert. Lost a little bit of time there. Didn't see where the overtake happened. And it certainly did. We always talk about how important setups are here, but at Monza, it's really just how much downforce do you not want. And, okay, this is definitely indicative of no pit window. Yeah, Asmar just went to 2. So Duarte is in, as well as Rosas, and I thought for a minute there was someone else. There's another one of the, that's Florindo. Oh, he's got some damage on the front end of that McLaren. So one of the Portuguese drivers already taking some shots. Speaking of Portuguese driver, Lemos leading the way right behind that. Hold on very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Christian Dorn on the inside there of Krebs as we head into the Retafilio. But the inside line for the Porsche, is it fully owned? It is, but it's going to be switching back to the outside as we go onto the exit. And still the side-by-side continues as we head into Lesmo number 1. Dorn holding strong. Krebs losing a little bit of ground, has to release, but it is going to be a little bit of extra speed to keep him in there. We're going to hop on board here with Cairns, going to give us a nice little overview of how this happens. Krebs steps out of the slipstream, almost making contact there. But both drivers cognizant into Ascari. It is going to be the Porsche backing out of this. Cairns, I think, for a moment wanted to go down the inside, but decided against it. That back end a little bit loose there. Up and over the curbs, that's bouncing. Keeps it stapled to the floor, though. Very lucky from Cairns to not lose that one. Partes chasing down Cuthbert right now. The 2 Ferraris doing battle here at the Temple of Speed. The inside line for Cuthbert will be his. But Partes fires it around the outside, does gain the position here. But is it going to count on exit? He almost makes contact with the others, but he manages to hold it strong. We're going to have to settle back here a little bit right now because it is going to be not Azertskis, but Louis losing a couple positions down into 12th, or up into 12th positions. Actually gained something, but unfortunately Victor Brood coming under fire. One of the McLarens, I believe that's Rosas, is in a very odd position. Louis makes contact with the McLaren in front. Nothing comes of it, though, as Zertskis is going to try to take advantage of this as best he can. The problem is right behind it's Hendrickson. Could pounce at any point. The Norwegian wants a little bit extra here. He's going to brake very early, though, into the chicane. Izerskis fires it down the inside, makes contact one way. It looked like for a second Louis wanted to make a little bit of revenge on exit. He's just going to shut the door on Hendrickson. There's the 44 of Asmar getting into the mix. Unfortunately, he's not part of this battle. He's getting blue flagged right on the apex. He's just sending everybody wide, so he's acting more of a hindrance overall than maybe a hindrance for, well, an opponent. Lemos on track. I believe this was one of the cars we saw earlier, but all 4 of these Portuguese drivers getting a pit stop out of the way early. Obviously not down or out. We do have to look up front, though. Granes leading this race right now, albeit by a few tenths here. Now a couple of tenths, a little bit of a weave there, trying to break the slipstream, but Julian, with the fastest lap, is closing in. The missile guidance system at work right now. But he has to brake a little bit early, but is he going to try to make it work around the outside? There's contact on one part of the chicane, and down the inside he goes. Is the position going to be his for the taking? Granes, though, still very much on the inside, and he does pull ahead into Curva Grande, but that Aston Martin sitting under that rear wing. Every little bit of extra speed he can as we head into the next sector here. Inside line, though, Granes again, he's sitting. Doesn't want to give his opponent anything to work with. It seems like right now, no matter what he's doing, he just cannot shake the 88 as best he can, but the inside door is opened. Will the bug slip through the screen? I'm not certain. Granes onto the grass there for a moment, but Lesmo 2 belongs to Julian. But a little bit less speed. It's still side by side from these two. It's been side by side pretty much since, well, before the exit, but now Granes has to go behind. He loses out on first place. But now, maybe this is a tactical decision. Very late on the brake, side by side through Ascari. Both of these drivers on the limit. Julian coming out on top, though. Somehow, some way, the grip was just enough to keep that Aston Martin pointed in the right direction. I thought for a moment Granes might have been out of it. I thought it looked like he had a little bit of oversteer at one point. But when the Aston Martin runs it a little bit wide, that opens the door. The 20 slips on by. And I thought that was going to be a pit stop. I thought Julian tried to sell that, but it wasn't going to work. We stay here, though, with the leading 2 right now. The slipstream battle of Monza. Julian's got to make a decision. He's going to go with the outside line. It looked for like a minute the Ferrari was just sitting in the middle, not really giving any options, but eventually settled inside line. Out of turn 2 into turn 3. That long right-hander really opened up the taps. Grabs 6th. Inside line again. Norwegian, he's just trying everything. Julian with a lot of speed right through the chicane. And side by side once more with your race leader, but that position's about to be given back. Julian played that beautifully. Almost straight line the chicane, but now he's got to be on the inside, on the defense here through Lesmo 2. And again, Granes runs wide. He is, I mean, this is about as close as you can get to being right under your opponent's wing as you could possibly be without making contact. And speaking of contact, a little bit of it, got to be careful. Even though it's a straight line, we seem to sometimes have problems. There's the contact. Julian off the road. Granes pulling away. It's not how you wanted to do it, but that's how it's going to happen. Christian Dorn now. What can you do, sir? Can you challenge for the lead? Can you take revenge for the fallen? Door opening up on the inside. He's just going to fire it in there. Doesn't even care at all. All the brakes under that McLaren to slow it up enough as we head out of the corner. And Christian Dorn taking the lead here of this race here at Monza. 12 minutes in. We've had a lot of action, a lot of pit stops. We've only lost one car. It was Kiorglau in the Bentley. Everybody else still very much out there side by side here into turn number 1. A lot of speed under the Ferrari. Every horse in the stable, horses in the back. Helmet's matty black, and he's got those boots to match because Granis has just taken the lead here of this race. And already starting to pull away. No, it wasn't Kjorglu who lost. I apologize. It was someone else. I didn't quite see who it was. But the Bentley's still in there. Always a car that I will hold specially in my heart. Checking back here. This is the battle for P4. Cairns and Partez. Now, Partez in a very good position to keep this gap opened. In the championship, he's in 5th position. Abelstead down in 14th. Cairns. Ooh, heart in the throat moment there on the exit. Almost spinning out. I can admit that I've done that a good few times in my outings here at Monza, and that does give Partez a chance to just sneak his way on the inside at Ascari, but he actually can't take advantage of that. Almost sort of pushes himself over those massive sausage curbs and has to lift off the throttle a little bit in order to not spin out, but right back on the attack. It's like it never even happened. I feel like this rear view camera is going to be getting a lot of playtime here this evening. And especially later on, we do still have North American split in the evening. Of course, I will be there again, as I always am. And I'm sure some of you guys watching will also be there. Kevin Parody, I know, will be one of them. I will be syncing the liveries after this race. I am excited and terrified to see what you have in store for me here later on. Daniel Rochfeld, hold on. We have got a shot here down. This is position 17. So even this far down the grid, there's still going to be a little bit of battling going on. Rochfeld later on the brakes, albeit barely. Asmar, a little bit of a switcheroo from both of these guys, but it is the McLaren that comes out on top for right now. The Aston Martin sitting behind through Curva Grande in the slipstream could be making a move down into turn 4. That is going to be a task easier said than done. The brakes are going to be about even, so no offensive move. Hold on. Oh, Rochfeld, that was close. On the exit, a little eager on the throttle there, almost spinning himself out. And Cairns again, with Partez behind, who just has not given up at all. Doesn't want to in the slightest. He wants this position, and he's giving it his all right now. And still just stays behind. He's losing a little bit of time. I think he was just a little bit tentative, a little bit sheepish about it. Oh, and there's Cairns, a little bit of a drift, and that actually makes Partez drift. Gentlemen, not a drifting competition, but I love the enthusiasm. Cairns ducks into the pit lane. He's done with that one, and right there, that was the Porsche of Krebs. So for right now, Partez does take the lead here, but he still has a pit stop to serve. There's Ricky Louis coming out of the pits. It will not be much of an issue. Oh, Florindo. Florindo's got some heavy damage on the front end of his McLaren. That's not going to do him any favors. Already a couple laps down. He's probably going to go down a few more. Unless this damage isn't affecting the car all too much. Well, let's take a listen. Well, yeah, that car is definitely suffering. It doesn't look like it's too much of an issue, though. He seems to be coping quite well, but at some point when he comes in, I guarantee you he's going to be getting it fixed up. He does not want to stick around to find out what happens if he isn't. But let's go here with the 555. The Greek driver in the Bentley, the only car, mind you, that does have the steering wheel on the right, which is pretty useful, especially here at Monza. Some of these corners a lot easier, and Cairns picking up a penalty as Florindo cuts the chicane. Could have been for speeding in the pit lane. That should be swapped over rather quickly. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen, what is happening here? Oh, Krebs making contact. Julian again, more contact onto the Aston Martin. from a car coming out of the pit lane. I mean, sure, they were already through the chicane, but still. The Mexican driver just getting beaten and battered around a little bit. Here's Cairns. Right behind him is Rosas. They both fire it through the chicane. Unfortunately, it's Cairns that completely misses the memo on how to take that properly. Rosas might be on the radio about that move, depending on whether or not he thinks that the chicane cut was too much, as he runs it a little bit wide on the exit of Lesmo 2. Baron right now, he's got some front end damage, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. You can see a little bit of front end damage on Julian as well, and actually a little bit on the right side and the back. Pretty much every single side has some scrape on it. But we carry on, and Krebs has had to get around one of the blue-flagged McLarens. It's actually not really going to matter at all. That's Naderpel coming in. So he'll be out of the picture and out of this fight. No more blue flags for him. Cairns as well going in for his second stop almost immediately after, and to clear the 10 seconds. Wonder if maybe just a slight pip of fuel, get out there, maybe change the tires, and then just go long on that one set, and then bring it back in towards the end. I'm not certain, of course. I can only speculate so much. But it is the two McLarens of Cairns and Naderpel. Naderpel getting his first stop out of the way, so that just leaves Henriksen, Babarin, and Partez, the only drivers who haven't pitted. And as I say that, I believe Babarin's coming in. Yes, he is. So the 888 is ready to get onto a new set, maybe looking to split it into an even 20-20-20, or just do 20-20-20, and then whatever time is there tacked on at the end, he'll just do with absolutely no problems at all. And keep an eye on this little trio right now, Krebs, Julian, and Cuthbert. The battle for 9th currently favors the Porsche of Fabian Krebs through Ascari. That Porsche looking planted. And as I say that, Krebs over the inside. Lucky to get away with that one with no damage, but I apologize in advance for the caster curse. I haven't had one of those in a long while. That feels really good. Unless you're the number 27, then you probably hate me. Well, there you have it, folks. Gone for a week. We pick up right where we left off. And speaking of picking up right where we left off, Krebs, despite that, has not faltered in the slightest. Some slipstream down the front straight we go. That Ferrari sitting on the outside. Krebs pulls back in. We have a yellow flag out on circuit. Gets cleared rather quickly. Krebs just forcing the issue. Goes way down the inside. What's the drive looking like on exit, though? The 13 closes in. And you can see there's Cuthbert on the outside. And now he's going to be behind, but he'll be in the slipstream as we head into Rettifilio. And he's just going to release, just backs off. He knows that by the time he gets anywhere close to the braking zone, it might be too late. And he's backing out of that one. And the problem with that is Rosas could be taking advantage of this. Looking at the pace, Cuthbert had a 49.1, a 48.3 for Rosas. I wonder how true that is, though, of pace. Actually, it might be quite a lot, because Cuthbert's best lap is 3 seconds slower than Rosas, who has a 48.34. Through Ascari, not saying anything, of course. I've learned my lesson. Actually, Rosas has to back out of that. I don't think it looked like it was a little bit wonky on exit. So that's going to not be very fun for him. Victor Brun with, I believe that's Stefan Haab. It is. So right behind Ferrari, BMW. The only BMW on the grid, mind you. And a lot later on the brakes, trying to gain as much ground as he can. He's actually just using a little bit of psychological warfare right now. As we go side by side, it's quite a few postage codes between the two of them right now, but still, it will be advantage for the Ferrari, but the BMW closing in and actually gaining a little bit of an advantage as we head into turn number 1 here. Who's going to be last on the brakes? It's even for both of them. And Hobb is just going to lay his flag there on the inside, but has to go around the outside. Now, how much of that can he actually use? I think, oh, he gets onto the grass once, and I think he also got onto it on exit. So he is going to lose that time there. So I think just that little bit of touch pushed him out of the speed that he was gaining, and then again, has not done him any favors. And Van Beveren there, he's just behind. So if the two in front can fight long enough, he can take advantage. He can grab this lap. Or sorry, he can grab the position rather, excuse me. I also realized I've been reading the lap times wrong. But yeah, Beveren's, he's just a couple seconds back, so he's just going to sit there, lie in wait, see if these guys are going to do the work for him. But it's not going to be just that. He's got to pick up the pace a little bit. He just came out of a pit stop, so time's not true of him. Although his best lap is still a second slower than Hobb and a couple tenths slower than Brun. So maybe picking up the Dane later on. There's Cuthbert into the pit lane. Rosas starting to attack. But he'll be lucky to get away from that one. The story, though, continuing between these two. Victor Brun almost making contact with the Ferrari of Hobbs side by side across the line. The Ferrari taking advantage. More drive on exit. And he's just barely ahead. Is there going to be enough for him to cut across? Yes, it is. Stefan Hobb taking 11th position away from Victor Brun. So the 112 is in 12th right now. And the 142 takes 11th. Still 2 pit stops between both of these drivers. So we'll leave that one there. A lot of drivers starting to kind of drag the stint out a bit. Everybody is on 2, except for Cairns, who is on 1. So it looked like he did change tires when he was doing his penalty, or serving his penalty rather, so that explains that. So he's going to be going long on this one. I would not be surprised if he came in more towards the end, maybe if he wants to make it even 20 in the next 15 minutes, but knowing him, he's going to try to use that final pit stop as almost like a bargaining chip. See if he can use that to get anybody out of his way. Christian Dorn, 4th position. Rasmus Abelstead has made up quite a lot of ground. And as I say that, he comes into the pit lane because Partez is just coming around. So he'll take over 5th position from Abelstead. But Abelstead will have that final pit stop to serve before the pole driver. Rosas also coming in. So some drivers opting for 25s. In terms of stint time. But there is still 34.5 minutes to go here in this race. Far from done, but just about halfway. I would love to see the setups everybody's running, because I know for a fact that there is probably 0 on every single wing, maybe 2 if you're feeling it. But Monza, not the track you want to be experimenting with downforce, too many straights to really work with. But next week we will be at Spa, which is a very different beast compared to this amazing Italian circuit, of course. A yellow flag out on track. That's the 4. Adiscari, that's Florindo. We're going to roll this one back. We'll probably just catch it here. He just sort of goes straight on and then parks up. I'm not certain why that might be. Other drivers moving past. But Florindo, yeah, just back to the pits. Maybe a technical issue, maybe a mechanical issue. Not certain what that's all about. But right now his teammate, Marco Rosas, in the 777. He's going to try to keep that flag held high for Portugal. And for Scuderia Jafostes. Probably pronouncing that wrong, but his team, everything he's got right now, trying to hunt down Cuthbert. Both of these guys still have one pit stop to go. Bruin's in, Lemos is in. Oh, he just runs it wide at Ascari, and that's gonna kill all momentum. All that time to get that close, and it's all for naught. Florindo still very much in the pit lane. Oh, Bruin's got some front end damage there on that BMW. We check back in Cuthbert with Rosas. Just realized I believe the driver we lost was Asmar. So he had a pretty terrible start to the race. Oh god, Julian. That outside, that gravel, I can't tell you how many times I have seen drivers completely spin out and lose it through there. Julian, they're lucky to get away with his life on that one. We continue on, 4th place for Partez. Where is Abelstead? He's in 13th. So you wonder. Oh, Dorn's in. Krebs is in as well. Bruin, Rochfeld, Kjorglo, Florindo. Florindo's still in there. And yeah, there's the Porsche of Krebs. So he'll still have one more pit stop. Bruin and Rochfeld, they are going to be done after this. Actually, there goes Rochfeld. He has one. Never mind, I apologize. My math is really bad. So Bruin has one, Cairns has one, Rosas, Cuthbert, Abelstead, Lemos. All of those drivers still have one more pit stop to serve. Everybody else has 2. Von Baron comes out ahead of the BMW. Not a fight for position, just a blue flag. So not much to really worry about, but he can always pretend like it's a fight for position. Because isn't that fun? Oh, Asmar's still here. Asmar comes into the pit lane. Gotten that wrong. Rosas, despite his little misstep, has come back with a vengeance. He is really hounding Cuthbert right now for this 14th position. As we head across the line, the McLaren sitting in the slipstream. So close he goes, pulls out at the last second. And now we're going to be looking at side-by-side down into turn number 1. The inside line belongs to the McLaren. Look at the braking, beautifully timed from both of these drivers. And Cuthbert, with the respect to just get out of that one, he does not want to fight it. He realizes that maybe it's better if he just sits behind, uses Rosas as a bit of a battering ram. Try and pull his way back up to the front. It's a very smart decision making though from him. We can sit there and fight all we want, but sometimes it's just better not to. But Julian comes in to the pit lane. This will be his second to last stop. Ricky Louie here in 9th position. Just behind... Oh, that was Kjorglo. Gets it all sorts of wrong there. At the Ascari chicane, he's just going to sit there. He's going to let everybody through. Actually goes back to the pit lane. So the race for the 555 not going all too well. And that Bentley is going to be retired from the race. So the 555 will not be seeing the checkered flag in the next 30 minutes. We rejoin Marco Rosas, though. 777 rolling his luck pretty high right now. Not as high as his teammates. Lemos is in 8th. Duarte leads this race. Although this is only because he hasn't pitted a second time. Right behind that's Krebs. And I believe just behind that, maybe Cairns. Porsche runs wide. Duarte sticking to the inside. He does come into the pit lane. So that's going to be another stop from him. Ricky Louis in the pit lane. Florindo's still there. So there's got to be some sort of issue going on with him. Either outside of the game or within the game itself. But he has got some work to do. Duarte's in the pit lanes. Granis is in the pit lane. So Louis gonna, I think, get his... Oh, no, that's actually his second to last stop. So we'll have one more after this. So the only drivers who have to do 2 more after everyone else is out of the pit lane. Partez, Haab, Von Beberen, and Hendrickson. And actually, Haab's coming in right now, so he'll have one more after this. But this is the beauty. You know what? I'm kind of liking the three stopper. Makes you really think of where everybody's going to be coming out of when everything is said and done. Partez, though, will take the lead of this race. Still 2 pit stops along with Beberen and Hendrickson. And Naderpal. I completely forgot about Naderpal. We haven't talked about him in a hot second. He's down in position 19 at the moment. Not quite last. But close enough to it, although Florindo in the pit lane. 5 laps down. He's been sitting there for the last few laps. So his race may be done and dusted. Out of 22 drivers, we have only lost 2 over the course of this evening. We've just passed the halfway point. Things have settled quite a lot. Oh, Hendrickson's in the pit lane. That'll be his second pit stop done for Koala Racing Team. And then he'll be one more away. And that'll just leave Beberen and Partez. Here's Cairns right now, really sending it on the inside. That is the 142, though, of Haab. So this is not a fight for position. Actually, no, I lied. This is a fight for position. Hang in there. I forgot how lovely this game is when it comes to updating positions. Either way, though, Haab, less than a 10th right now. Same with Rosas, who I believe has Cuthbert. Yeah, we got all the polystyrene all over the place. Oh, goodness. Rosas is really flirting with limits right now, seeing just how much he can pull out of the Ferrari before it bites him. Stefan Haab, though, is starting to lose some time. Cairns, a man on a mission. Through the second Lesmo, does it beautifully. All the runoff from both of these drivers. Maximize the exit speed. Get on to, I would just say the first half of the back straight, it feels like. How long this straight is. Feels like there might as well just be 3. Oh, and a little bit loose there for the 22. Able to hold it down. So he's going to lose a little bit of time. But still in the fight. Just a little over a second down. His last lap was a second slower, actually, than... Or no, sorry, Haab had just come out of the pit lane, so his time's a little bit wonky. We're checking in Christian Dorn in 7th position. Blue flag behind, that is not Julian. That is another McLaren, so... That's actually Naderpal, so yeah, it's not even a fight there. It's just sort of keeping each other company through such a race. Of course, Christian Dorn and Fabian Krebs teammates. Both, you can see it on the side of the car. Well, actually, while we have the time, we'll get a close look at it. So yeah, Krebs and Dorn, same team, same car, same everything. But right now, they are quite a ways away from each other. As Krebs is down in 11th, so he's a few positions back. Still one pit stop for pretty much everybody. Naderpel, Partez, Von Bavaren. The only drivers yet to do that second stop, of course, Florindo. At this point, I mean, it's probably just retiring the car. I haven't seen anything in the EU Blue chat. Drivers will sometimes discuss such things when they can. But we've hit a quiet part of this race. I think once all the pit stops are done, there goes Naderpel. Naderpel with the fastest lap. I'm surprised, a 47.78. Or sorry, not a 47.78. I can't read. A 47.53. That's extremely fast. The next closest driver appears to be Alan Julian with a 47.72. I'm wondering what Naderpel did. That's a rapid lap for race pace. By the way, Krebs is in the pit lane. That'll be his final stop done, so he's going to try to pick up some extra positions when everyone else comes in. Which might be the right decision, might be the smarter decision to make. Check in here, Granius right now. 5th, right ahead of him is Lemos. Lemos' last lap was a 49.08. Granius had a 48.65, so there's a few tenths between them. Overall pace. We'll see if that stays consistent, though. For all we know, Lemos could have a faster overall pace, but maybe just had a little bit of an awkward lap. Their fastest laps, though, it's a tenth between them. It's Granius with that 48.15 compared to Lemos' 48.27. So we'll see what the pace looks like as we get over, and there goes Florindo. So that is one of 4 McLaren Portuguese drivers out of it. Duarte Lemos, though, holding up the flag very well. Rosas in the top 10. So Granius just did a 48.40 compared to the 48.64 of Lemos. So in due time, should things stay the same way they've been, they could be coming to blows. Surprisingly, with if Rosas was to finish where he's at right now, in 9th position, that should be enough to overtake Rochfeld for the lead in the amateur class. Oh, there goes Bavaren. So he's going to be the first of these drivers. Nope, I lied. He's not going to be the first of the drivers to clear all of the stops. He's going to be the last of all the drivers. Oh, no, actually, Partez will be the last one. We have a yellow flag. The 88 of Julian's just stopped. Not certain. Oh, he must be out of fuel. Is he out of fuel? I don't know if he is. I can still hear the engine, so this might be something outside of the game. I'm not certain. He's in the pits right now. Partez is in the pits as well. So your race leader comes in. So if I were everybody else, I would take this as a sign to go in, get that last pit stop cleared, and then let him get swallowed up by the pack. Duarte is going to take the lead, though, of this race. But how many positions is Partez going to lose, actually, off of this? Losing at least one. Lemos will be joining fellow countryman Duarte there in the top 3. Right behind there's Granius, so he'll be promoted into the top 3. Partez still in the pit lane. Julian's there. Yeah, it must have been something. I'm not certain what that was all about. Partez looks like he's going to come out in maybe 6th place. Nope. Yep, out in 6th. There goes Dorn. And Krebs is in. So Krebs should be the last driver to get all 3 of his pit stops cleared. Of course, Julian would too, but the incident from earlier, whatever you want to call it, very odd. So I'm not certain what that's all about. Nothing in the chats at all. Just people talking about the servers going down. Apparently the servers went down yesterday. But right now it is Daniel Duarte who leads this race with one pit stop left through the Ascari chicane. He really chucked that thing over the inside. Just up ahead, there's the Mercedes of Abelstead. Now keep in mind, Abelstead has been closing, or trying to close the gap up to Partez, but hasn't been lucky. It's been sort of a back and forth, slight Constantina in the standings. Daniel Rochfeld with Naderpel behind, not a battle for position, but Naderpel's certainly going to treat it as such. As we go side by side, there's Ricky Louie up ahead. Rochfeld's not going to be too happy if he gets stuck behind. Because while, yes, the drivers do have the ability to ask for the position if you're a blue flag, if you're faster, but it has to be agreed upon by both sides of the coin. Julian's back out on circuit, so whatever issue he had has been sorted out. Krebs is still in the pit lane, so something's happened to Krebs. Not certain what that's about. There's Christian Dorn in the background. So he'll be the first of the drivers to clear all of his pit stops. So he's just going to have probably about 16 and a half some odd minutes on one set of tires just to see what happens. Let's tag along here, Ricky Louie, because he's actually losing quite a bit of time right now, despite Rochfeld having to sort of battle his way around a back marker, which you never want to do. Has not let that falter him at all. His last lap was 0.2 faster. His overall fastest lap is 0.4 quicker than the Hong Kong driver. And you can see that Aston Martin, with the slipstream, really just swinging to the inside line. Just heavy on the brakes. Still side by side. You can barely see Louis in the rearview mirror. But I think that's about to become just gone and out of there. There's Naderpel into the pit lane. He'll be all set with his pit stops. Cairns going to clear all of his. Naderpel's going to clear all of his. Dorn in P10 right now. The first driver to rock the all-green column. But Rochfeld's gotten around. He sends it a little bit too heavy into the chicane. Does the 37 take advantage of this? The two amateur drivers doing battle here at Monza through Curva Grande. And Louis got some speed, he's got some pace. But I think he just pulled out there as we swapped. Late on the brakes, he is going to make contact. Rochfeld spinning. Quite little, not a lot of spin, but he's gonna repay us for the spin with a little bit of rallycross there. I don't take Aston Martin as much of a, WRC, WRX, but you know what? If the car keeps going, I say who cares? But Louis, you could almost sense the contact was coming in. He just had a little too much speed behind his car going into the Rettifilio. Thankfully, Rochfeld is able to keep the car in the right direction and not pick up any extra damage. Louis not going to get really any penalty for that at all. Maybe just a slight, excuse me, sir, how dare you, from the Aston Martin. But that is going to be the extent of his crimes. Or, sorry, the extent of his punishment, rather. Lemos out of the pit lane. He's got that all sorted out. Abelstead is out of the pit lane. Along, Rosas should be out in due time. Hendrickson's cleared his stop. So now Partez. Partez, this is the man I want to look at. Keep in mind, after the race 2 weeks ago, the gap was at 21 points. Or going into that race, rather. After that race, it's grown to 50. So 29 points has been added. But if he wants to get the most out of this, he needs to either really get this stint as far ahead as he can, or come in now and try to undercut. He's really sticking on the inside, but comes out of it and passes up the pit lane. So he might be trying to build as much of a gap as he can to Abelstead. So when Abelstead eventually comes around, he will be well and truly behind. Abelstead right now lapping a 54.95. Of course, that is his previous lap. His best lap is a 47.95. Partez's best lap of 48.95. So Partez a full second behind. So Partez in a sort of an awkward situation. Because if he's being, if that 1 second per lap does end up being true, then he's just going to be taking the time away. And by the time he comes in, if he does a late pit stop, well, it's not going to matter. He's going to fall behind Abelstead. And that'll be that. However, maybe there's some deep secret knowledge going on that I'm not certain of, that I'm not aware of. But these are really going to be the guys to watch. We rejoin Gronis. He's in a very peculiar situation right now, because just up ahead, that is Abelstead. And right behind is Lemos. So these three, this is 4th position. Oh, Lemos extremely late on the brakes. I think he might have just gotten on the grass a little bit. Has to take to the runoff. Rejoins the track safely. Abelstead, I think, is getting blue flagged right now. That's not Abelstead, I'm an idiot. That's the other Mercedes. That's Henriksen. I apologize. I promise I know what I'm doing. So it's Henriksen, rather. So he's going to be giving a bit of a tow right now to Lemos. And he's just going to let him through. Pulls off to the side. Well executed. Cuthbert's into the pit lane. Rochfeld, Louis are in right now. Asmar is out of the pit lane, so he's all set for the rest of the race. Right behind him is Naderpel. Not a fight for the lead, though. 2 laps down over the McLaren in front. So yeah, Lemos has gotten around. This is good for him because this just opens up a lot of clean air for him to play with. Maybe a little bit of disturbance, but I don't think the wake is too heavy on these GT3s compared to something like an F1 car. At least the previous generation of F1 cars. Those were a little bit ridiculous. But anyways, Asmar with Naderpel. There's Rochfeld behind. So there's 2 blue flags, or potentially 2 blue flags for Naderpel if he were to get ahead. But he's got to be careful. He's actually just going to throw it down the inside here at the Rotherfilio chicane, and actually does get the overtake done, so that's impressive. Although Rochfeld joins the scene, Asmar runs wide. Probably not part of the plan, but unfortunately, it's actually a fight for position. It was Rochfeld getting around, so that little mistake there, that little move from Naderpel has given this guy exactly what he needed. And that is a position. Rochfeld's loose on the exit of the second Lesmo. Ooh, a lot of correction there from the 101. I was just singing his praises, but the choir's been silenced. Almost losing and almost crashing out of this race. This is not the time to break your car. You still have 10 minutes to go. What we also still have is 5 drivers who still have to serve pit stops. Julian, Brun, Van Beveren, Partez, and Duarte. We'll check in with Duarte right now. He does have Julian with him. Although this is not a battle for position. This is simply just a, well, simple blue flag and keep him with you. So once all of the pit stops get cleared, then we'll start doing some point calculations. Abelstead's 6th place right now. Partez 2nd. Partez is just coming through the first Lesmo. And now through the second. So I'm wondering how long he's going to be bringing these tires on track for. He's been on the set for a while. Gronis getting away from Lemos a little bit. Last lap does favor Gronis by a 10th. A 10th and then a couple of pennies extra. So if he can keep that up, he'll build the gap and he could possibly take this race win. He is on track for it. There's Hobb and Brun, although the BMW does have to come in eventually. He is just sitting there in the slipstream just behind, looks like Cairns. He is very much not in the picture, but much like my bad habits, lurking in the shadows for their first chance to get back into the picture. The BMW a little bit later on the brakes, but I think he just stood on them a little bit longer. So he'll be right behind. All right, Duarte's in the pit lane. Partez is in the pit lane. Von Bavaren, does he come in? Big question there. Granis will be taking the lead of this race. Lemos will be in second. Abelstead will be third, unless Partez has like a super team. Oh, Duarte's out. Is Duarte? There's no way Duarte holds on to the lead of this race. Surely not. Surely not. There's no way Duarte timed that perfectly. There's so much of a gap between himself and Granis that he can get a free pit stop effectively. It was like he wasn't even in there. Okay, Partez, he's out of the pit lane. Bavaren's in there. Lemos goes through. Abelstead goes through. Okay, so now... Oh, now it's going to get interesting. Oh, no, Partez might lose another position. Where does he come out? Is he going to be sixth? He is. Okay, Christian Dorn pulls through. So now, Duarte is still in the lead. Timed... That could not have been a better pit stop for him. 7 minutes to go. He's just got to bring it all the way back. Granis is in second place right now. Lemos on the podium. Could this be the Fostes sitting on 2 steps of this podium? It is, because Daniel Duarte and Bruno Lemos, both from Portugal, both part of the same team, 1 and 3. Rosas, their other teammate, is down in 7th right now. And we did have the McLaren, the 4th teammate of Florinda, but he is out of this race, retired earlier on. So Abelstead's 4th, Partez is 6th. Now, if I take a look over at the point distribution, if Abelstead stays where he's at, he's going to get 4 points. Or he's going to get 100 points, excuse me. And Partez will only get 90. So that will be a 40-point gap going into Spa. Not only between these two, but that'll be in the championship. Cuthbert is 8th right now. So Cuthbert would get 80 points, which would actually grow his gap 56 to 76. So he's going to have to hope for a miracle next week if he wants to take this championship, because that's going to be a pretty tall order. Because if he were to win the race, which would net him 150 points, if he wants someone... Or actually, no, I think if he wins the race, yeah, he'll be at... Well, he'll gain 150, but Partez would just basically not have to show up or finish so far down the grid, he gets nothing point-wise. Obviously, Abelstead over the silver championship, it doesn't matter. That's over with. 321 points. He could take it easy, but I think he has bigger things in his sights. And then for the Pro-Ams, Julian, he's pretty much fine because Sutter isn't here. It doesn't look like Sutter is on the circuit. No, he is not. And the other driver in the Pro-Am podium battle is Florindo, and he retired ages ago, so he's also out of this. And then into the amateurs, Rochfeld over Rosas. Whoa, Granis gets pushed wide. Actually is in second position still. Oh, hold on, wait a second. I'm going to shut up about my point thing right now. Bruno Lemos is challenging for position 2 right now as we head into the final corner. He's in this. He steps out of the slipstream, but he's going to be along the outside as we head through that long right-hander just up ahead. That's Alan Julian, who is getting blue flagged, and if he's going to get out of the way, this would be the place to do it. The lights being flashed there from the Ferrari. Granis saying, "Get out of the way, man. I've got a psychopathic man behind me in a McLaren who wants my position. I don't want to give it to him." But Lemos, you know he's going to be giving it absolutely everything. Julian, a little bit of a roadblock. That does force Granes to just cut the chicane, punting the little orange barriers out of the way. And Julian making contact once, almost losing both of these guys through Curva Grande. And now Lemos, this is what he wants. If these two can just bicker, he's going to grab the position, but he's got to be careful. He's going to lift off the throttle, little dab of the brakes a couple times. Aston Martin goes down the inside, cuts the chicane in half. All loose on exit there for the number 9. Is he going to get in the way, though? That's the big question as we head through the first Lesmo. He's actually just going to head completely clean off. Julian decides the best course of action, instead of ruining someone's lap, is to just go right off the track and completely into another part of the world. But Lemos actually is losing time right now. Just behind, there's Abelstead. Abelstead's going to be hoping for something crazy from both of these guys if he wants to take the position. But Granes he's got to be sweating right now. Another yellow, or is that just the regular yellow? Oh, that's your race leader! Wait, Daniel Duarte, he's off at Ascari! He's going to lose one position. Is he going to lose 2 positions? His teammate is going to push through. And now the battle for the podium is going to go on another lap. Ladies and gentlemen, how do you predict this kind of stuff? You just don't. You don't. The number 20 in the Ferrari here at Monza leading this race, but he's got 2 more laps to do it. And for Duarte, that was the last thing you needed, not now. You don't want to go off at Ascari. You don't want to give the lead away. Granes is weaving down the front straight into turn 1. Lemos just has to follow it to stay in the slipstream. Duarte, his brakes are a little bit better. Gains some ground. How much is he going to lose on exit? Actually, not a lot. He doesn't lose that much on the exit. Through Curva Grande he goes. Granes starting to pull away. The 2 teammates, are they going to work together? Are they going to find some extra pace here to overtake and get back into the lead? Could it be a 1-2 for McLaren? It's a great exit for Duarte. Lemos defends the inside into Lesmo number 1, but he's actually just going to let his teammate through. Very good teamwork from both of these guys. They know what's happening. Lemos knows that Duarte has been all over this race since the start. He doesn't want to hold him up running wide. The 15, he is going to be giving it everything. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be going on to the last lap here in just about 40 some odd seconds. For Granes, that's going to feel like 40 years, depending on how much pace Duarte can get out of his McLaren through Ascari. It's wide for Duarte. He's pushing as much as he can. He's got everything to play for right now, but how much time is he actually going to get out of this? He's got to hope for a mistake. He's got to bank on Granes missing 1 brake point, 1 corner, 1 acceleration, 1 gear shift, anything. Anything and everything to swing it back in his favor. This is the final lap, folks. Round 9 of 10 of Season 14 of the Simrigs Sprint Series. And we're not even done. Duarte almost a full second back. He lost some time. He lost a 10th or so through Ascari. But Granes knows he just has to survive this lap. It doesn't matter how close the number 15 gets. As long as he gets the checkered flag first, he doesn't care. That pressure may be relieved a little bit, though, as that gap expands another couple of tenths. So Duarte, he's falling off. For Granes, this would be a great win for the Ferrari outfit here at the Temple of Speed itself. We know Charles Leclerc won in Spa, then he won in Monza, but maybe Granes can do it backwards. He can win in Monza, win in Spa. And there's Abelstead, so the top 4 only separated by a couple of seconds, and then Dorn a long way back. And I also believe we are going to have a change in the Amateur Class Championship just based on the finishing positions. I wanted to obviously talk about that earlier, but we had the change for the lead because of Duarte. but Rochfeld should take the lead of Amateur. But ladies and gentlemen, the final corner for the final time. Organises is gonna come out of it, and he's gonna be gifted the win because Duarte lost it at the Ascari chicane. He's gonna be down and defeated, and it's actually gonna be given... He's gonna give second place over to his teammate Bruno Lemos. He wasn't out of fuel, but he's gonna be kicking himself. That win was his. It was in his hands. He slipped. It fell out. Organises picked up the fumble and just ran away with it. It was a great race, though. Lemos flashing the headlights, diving beside. Same with Duarte. There's Abelstead behind him. Christian Dorn finishes 5th position. Partez is 6th. Rosas 7th. Cuthbert 8th. Hendrickson, Louis Bruns 14th through 16th. Hobb is going to come home a very respectable P9 for the 142. Haven't seen him, but he's making a statement. Cairns comes across in 10th place. Von Beberen is 11th. And then Asmar, he had a very unfortunate start to this race, but he will be coming home in P11. And then right behind him, oh, he's just throwing it over the corners. He knows he's all set. He knows he doesn't have to worry about any sort of track cut warnings. He's probably at 0 or maybe 1 after that. And then Rochfeld's behind. So Rochfeld was 25 points behind. Or sorry, 25 points ahead at the end of this. So he's going to be 12th or so. So he is going to be losing this lead in the amateur class. Rosas will take the lead of that. So for him, that's great. That's going to be big news. But ladies and gentlemen, cross the line. And that's going to do it for us here at Monza. A race that was just full of surprises. A lot of action, a lot of calmness in the middle. And then right at the end, you couldn't have written it better if you tried. So we're going to take a look at the timing sheets overall for this race. Organises comes home 2.6 seconds. Lemos in position number 2 because Duarte just let off the throttle, let him have it. Said, you know what, I tried what I could and I couldn't do the best. So he's going to have to settle for 3rd. Abelstead, Dorn in your top 5. Partez, Rosas, Cuthbert, Hobb, Cairns. That's going to be your top 10 overall. The Pro-Ams, though, Duarte takes home bragging rights from Naderpel, Florindo, and Izertskis. That was the first driver we lost. All 4 McLarens there. But Duarte, the best over his teammate Florindo, who did, of course, retire earlier on in the race. In the amateur class, Rosas takes home the win. The 777, rolling high, getting lucky here at Monza. Von Beberen 2nd. Rochfeld is 3rd. Louis is 4th. Brun is 5th. And because of the finishing positions of Rosas and Rochfeld, 1st and 3rd in the amateur class, and just overall, Rosas 7th, Rochfeld 13th. 85 points goes the way of Rosas and only 55. So there's going to be a 5-point gap between them going into Spa. Abelstead takes home the silver crown. Dorn 2nd, Hobb is 3rd, Cairns, Henderson, and Kjorglau, who we lost earlier on. That's going to be all the way down to 6th. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for us here tonight. This is why I like watching Monza. You get great racing, but whenever I do it, I just get killed. But before we get out of here, of course, folks, one final thank you to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 14 of the Sprint Series. Out of Melbourne, Australia, these guys servicing all of Australia and New Zealand by default. If you're looking to upgrade, looking to get some little extra goodies tossed onto your Simrig, well, Simrigs has got you covered. And if you happen to be like myself or pretty much anybody here in the European Union, well, you have got to send them an email. I'm sure they'd be more than happy to do some business with you. And if you are one of our beautifully amazing Patreon members, you guys do get 5% off your in-store purchases, so do take advantage of that. This hobby isn't cheap. I'm sure we all know that. But again, thank you to Simrigs for sponsoring Season 14 of the Sprint Series, and we hope to see them again in future seasons. But folks, that is going to do it for us here tonight There is one round remaining here in the championship. We're gonna be at, well, Spa, my personal all-time favorite circuit, and for some others they may share that sentiment, or at the very least their top 3. But that's gonna be a 70-minute slug. I don't know who's gonna come out on top, but we still have some battles brewing. The battle for the championship overall, that's going to come down to the final race. Same with the amateur championship. Silver and Pro-Am, if my calculations are to be believed, should be over, under, done, and out. But of course, we'll have to wait and see if that truly does hold station. But folks, on behalf of myself and everybody here at the OOR, we'd like to thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Remember to like the stream if you haven't, and if you're looking to get more action out of us here on YouTube, remember to subscribe, and if you haven't already, join the Discord, get involved with the community. If you're looking for a nice, clean racing scene to be a part of, well, we'd be more than happy to have you. If you're looking to get into the Sprint Series, well, you're going to have to go through our Rookie Series first, but doesn't mean you have to be there for the whole thing. We've had drivers do 1 or 2 races and get moved up. Some, like me, have to take the whole season, but other than that, folks, as always, stay safe, stay beautiful. We'll see you next time.